Hi, I'm Ann Garcia. As the college financial lady and author of How to Pay for College, I've helped thousands of families save millions of dollars on college. This video is going to walk you through the process of filing the FAFSA. Now, this is the fourth of several videos. So if you haven't watched the first few, you'll want to do those first to make sure that you have the complete process. Right now, we're on the parent financials section of the FAFSA, and that's two things: income and assets. So when you get to this section, it's going to ask about income information and specifically tax filing. So again, I'm using the FAFSA demo site from last year. Yours will, when you log in anytime after October of 2022, it's going to ask you about your 2021 tax return, not your 2020. But the first question is, have you already completed your income tax return? Hopefully you already have. If you filed for an extension for your 2021 taxes, you might want to wait until after you filed it to complete the FAFSA. So what type of tax return? I filed a 1040, and then tax filing status. This is a married couple in this, so I'm going to say married filed a joint return. The system is going to recommend that you use the IRS data retrieval tool, and I will recommend that as well. It will save you a ton of time. It'll make your filing much more accurate, and also make it much more likely that your much less likely that your FAFSA will be selected for verification. Unfortunately, because I'm using the online system, I can't do that. So I'm going to be entering my information manually. So I'm going to click here. You would click when you're filing the FAFSA, click on Proceed to the IRS. You will link your tax return from the IRS to your FAFSA, and it'll pre-populate all of this information. Even so, it's super helpful to have your tax return and your W-2s on hand for the income piece, and then access to your bank and investment account information for the assets piece. So it really wants me to use the IRS data retrieval tool, and I really want you to. Unfortunately, I can't, so I'm going to click this. Now I'm just going to enter a bunch of information here. So adjusted gross income, again, this will be pulled from your tax return. Some of these fields you'll be prompted to complete on your own. It'll pick up, what your total tax liability was. And then it'll ask you some specific questions. Really important when you're filling out the financial data, make sure that you are answering the questions based on who they're asking it about. So parents will provide income and asset data, and then students will provide income and asset data. I'm in the parents section, so I want to make sure that everything I answer is specific to the parents. So any combat or special pay, any college grant or scholarship aid that was reported in the parents' income, education tax credits. Now, again, assuming that you're the parent of a high school senior who's filing this for the first time, you probably haven't claimed the American Opportunity Tax Credit or Lifetime Learning Credit on your return. Here's a big one. If you had what's called an untaxed IRA distribution, which in plain English means if you took money out of a Roth IRA, you do add it back to your income here. You don't include rollovers. So if you did a rollover from your 401k or from an IRA to another IRA, that's not included here. But if you actually withdrew money from a Roth IRA that's not counted in your taxable income, you would enter that amount right here. This is one of the reasons why using a Roth IRA for college is not a great idea. Then you're going to report any IRA contributions that you made. Again, this should come through from your tax return, but just double check it. I'm going to enter a number in there. And if you had any tax exempt income, you'll enter it there as well. Again, it's going to pick all these up from the IRS data retrieval tool, but you'll want to check them as you go. Additional financial information. This is income that might not be reported elsewhere. So if the parents paid any child support to anyone else that's not reported on their tax return, they can subtract it from their income by entering it here. Earnings from work under a cooperative education program, and then any taxable earnings from need-based employment programs such as work study. Again, very important. We're talking about the parents here. So unless the parents had work study, you put 0 in there. And then we're going to add in any untaxed income from the parents. If the parents receive child support, it gets added here. Housing allowances for clergy, military, and some others get added there. The big one for a lot of parents is if you had contributions to your 401k pre-tax taken out of your paycheck, you would add that here. You'll find that on your W-2 boxes 12A through D, and it lists the codes of what you actually include. So let's say you contributed $15,000 to your 401k, you would enter it in there. Then any veterans benefits and any other untaxed income gets reported here. All right, that's the income information. The next section is assets. So good news and bad news. The good news is that you won't have to answer this question, does the total amount of your assets exceed $3,700? The bad news is the reason you don't have to answer that is that there is no asset protection allowance. So every dollar that you have in your possession is going to count as assets. Now, this is the section of the FAFSA that generates the most questions. So a couple specifics. Number one, it is your account balances on the day that you are filing the FAFSA. So you don't need your previous month's statement. You do need to log into your accounts and check what they're worth today. First one's pretty straightforward. Total balance of cash, savings, and checking accounts. So let's say you have $7,000 in those accounts. The next question is the much more confusing one. As of today, what's the net worth of your parents' investments, including real estate, not your parents' home? So you are going to include in here everything other than your retirement savings accounts. So if you have 3 children and each one has a 529, you total all 3 529 account balances. If you have a taxable investment account, you enter it here. If you have I-bonds, you enter them here. If you have crypto, you enter it here. If you own an investment property, you enter its net value here. By net value, I mean market value minus outstanding liabilities like your mortgage. You total all of that up and you enter that number in this field. What's not included here, your retirement accounts are not included. If anybody else has a 529 account for your child, you don't include it here. You don't include insurance policies, and you don't include any equity in your primary residence. So let's say this family has $60,000 in savings. And then the last question is, does your family, the net worth of business or investment farm? This doesn't apply to small businesses. It only applies to a business with more than 100 employees. So I'm going to put a 0 in there. And those are the parent assets. All right, I'm going to talk about student assets and income in the next video, so you'll want to keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn some strategies for how to reduce your assets or improve your likelihood of getting need-based financial aid or merit scholarships, check out my online course, The College Financial Plan, which is on my website, howtopayforcollege.com. You can use the discount code at the end of this video to get 10% off the course, or check out my book, How to Pay for College, which is available from Amazon and bookstores everywhere. I'm Ann Garcia, the College Financial Lady and author of How to Pay for College. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel.